So I'm going to jump right in here and talk about what it means to have that feeling of not feeling satisfied in our life, and that unsatiated feeling that will get inside and that can feel like a black hole sometimes, that we can never feel satisfied. It's a void. And yesterday I talked about the second chakra, and I talked about our right to have, to feel, to want, to give ourselves pleasure. And the shadow of that chakra is about trying to feel satisfied. It's addiction, basically. It's addiction. It's when we continually try to find ways to satisfy us, whether it is through drugs, alcohol. Those are the real common things, right? Like, let's just escape through drugs and alcohol because we're just not satisfied in our life. And I'm not trying to make light of it at all. And the other ways that it can come in the addiction of food, it comes in the addiction of sugar, it can come in the addiction of shopping, it can come in way of relationship. We could be addicted to be an enabler. We can be addicted to codependent relationships. We could be addicted to old patterns and not being able to get out of old patterns because we're so stuck in that feeling that I don't want to change, because if I change, I feel like I'm not gonna survive, or that things are going to change. And what am I gonna do when the change happens? It becomes this vicious cycle, this paradox of not being able to get out of the addiction of our life. And what I've learned about the addict archetype in my study of archetypes is that I really strongly believe that on the other side of the addict archetype is the mystic. Because here's the thing, what the addict does is the addict keeps us separate from ourself. It keeps us separate from that divine internal knowing of our authenticity, of who we are, of feeling connected. It's about connection. When we are not connected, we are stuck in some form of addiction. It's just how it is. And so if we are able to work and to just really come clean with ourselves and admit that we feel stuck and that we're struggling in some way, and that we ask for help in these addictions. And one might think, well, it's just food, or it's just the fact that I continue to go in these same patterns, and it's I will I can stop it. And the truth is that we do need help sometimes to stop these addictive patterns. We get caught in this cycle, like I said, and we cannot get out. Let me talk a little bit about what it all comes down to. And it's not this simple, and yet it is, but it's not this simple, is that eventually it comes down to choice. We have to choose it. And this has been the theme that I've been talking about for 2020. It's like, what are you committed to? What are you committed to changing in your life? Because we're in a place right now in this week of where stuff has gone down and is coming down for us. And I want you to think of the theme of paradigms. What paradigms do you need to change? What relationships do you need to change? And here's one thing that you can do in terms of relationships is take the relationships that you have in your life, each one of them, and with each one of them do something different, whether it's to let go of, whether it's to redefine, whether it's to bring more fun and play with that relationship. But it is about doing something different. We cannot continue to be in the same addictive patterns. If we go in and stay into addiction, we will live fate. We will live the fate of our history. We will live the fate of our biological inheritance, not only physically, psychologically, inherently, and we will not feel satisfied in our life. And we just end up in this vicious cycle that we cannot get ourselves out of. So it's about commitment here, people. It's about commitment. It's about choice. It's about braving those things that you've been keeping under. And if you settle, then you settle. And for some, they may settle in their life. You may settle in your life and not even realize that what it is that you're not feeling satisfied in, because you've come so complacent and you've accepted the fact that the change and the sacrifice that you feel that you're going to have to let go of is something that you can't. And that becomes a very sad story. That becomes a very sad story. And absolutely right, we allow our commitments to be bigger than our circumstances. When you allow your commitments in your relationship sometimes to be bigger than your circumstances, let me say that differently. It is about allowing your commitments to be bigger than the circumstances that are in front of you. because there's always going to be circumstances. These circumstances are in front of us because they're part of challenging us to grow. They are challenging us to step out of the faded, potentially, expectation of what the culture, of what the status quo, of what the family inheritance has given us. And we will die by those. We will die by the status quo, and that's the last thing I'm sure most of us want to do. So with this, I hope this is helpful. Check in. Like, where are you seeing the addict show up for you in your life? Where do you need to commit to make choices to do something different? In your relationships, in your patterns, dismantle, break down the paradigm. You've got to break down the paradigm. This is crucial. In 2020, it's so crucial because what is not broken down during this time will solidify, will crystallize. It will solidify and crystallize in your body. And eventually, that will manifest in other ways. Love you and thank you. Namaste.